On the systematic eradication of stress for those who are truly serious. What you are about to read is a treatise which is aimed solely at the serious individual. The individual who is tired of games, potions, one off techniques, tips, tricks, and all the things that are aimed at unserious masses. This is for the individual who is simply tired of sloshing in the stale and muddy waters of that which is wholly ineffective. This is for the individual who seeks the truth. This is for the individual who truly, genuinely, and sincerely wishes to eradicate stress from their lives. This treatise is not for the individual who seeks temporary relief, or wishes to feel a bit better, or is in search of a few tips. For that, you are best served seeing a psychotherapist or attending one of the thousands of stress management workshops that are offered around the globe. This is for the individual who has or is on the cusp of jumping full force into a journey of eradicating this cancer of stress from their life, so that he or she may, in a word, taste freedom perhaps for the first time in their lives. My work has always been exclusively for the serious. If this is you, then let us have a real conversation. If we examine any industry, be it medicine, engineering, professional finance, marketing, health, self development, leadership, success, aircraft design, or software development, we find a perfectly consistent trend. It is the same trend in all the things on the planet. And that trend is that everything moves toward greater and greater entropy. All things move toward greater dilution and a dumbing down. In every field, there is the noise and there is the truth. What do I mean by stress? By stress, I mean all the things that cause turmoil to arise within you. Fear, anxiety, depression, emotional pain, anger, nervousness, mood swing, and so on. Anything that robs you of peace, anything that removes you from a state of perfect flow, anything that prevents your life from becoming a living, and prevents your craft from becoming an absolute masterpiece. This is what I mean by stress. Where do we begin? That which is false begins with addition. That which is truth begins with subtraction. Let us first subtract the false and or irrelevant ideas that have been drilled into your head. Let us eliminate all the talk of biology and physiology. How stress is physiologic. How depression is divided into chemical depression versus behavioral depression. My dear friend, please understand that all things are physiologic. If someone tells you something funny and you laugh, this is physiologic. The behavior stems from the physiology, it is not independent of it. If you drink a glass of orange juice or take a Tylenol, this is a chemical and it produces certain change in your physiology. Something is not made serious or bona fide on the count of its being deemed chemical or physiologic. It is serious because it robs you of the experience of life. It is serious because it robs you of the experience of life. It is serious because it robs you of the beautiful relationship with your spouse and your children. It is serious because it causes you pain. And understand this, the pain of the mind is infinitely more painful than the pain of muscle and bone. For the wound of the latter trend toward healing, while the wound of the former tend to grow deeper. The truth about the eradication of stress. If a man is an alcoholic or has a problem with substance abuse, no serious minded person would believe that a tip or a technique would cure him. I must make something very clear at this juncture. To even think of judging any man is pure folly. For a life lived in a conventional way is an intensely painful affair, and man will seek any outlet and will grasp at any straw in order to experience even a moment's respite from the pain. Where that pain comes from is something that I would love to tell you. But if I may be completely honest with you, it may sound outwardly and cryptic to you. It will likely be something that you have never heard in your life. And this is the way the truth almost always is. It has nothing to do with intelligence, it has everything to do with exposure. And thus, I will refrain from revealing that. Very well, let's continue. What is the truth about eradicating stress from your life? What is the truth about living without turmoil? What is the truth about finding a way to true and genuine and unmistakable freedom? What is the truth about finding peace? What is the truth about working without mental interference? The truth is this: it requires a sincere journey. A true, authentic, sincere, no nonsense, heartfelt journey. The same as it does in alcoholism and substance abuse or anything that is serious and necessary. The point is that when a sincere human being decides to embark upon a journey, it means that he has once and for all set aside all things that are cosmetic and palliative. The point is that such human being is ready to leave behind all things that are aimed at managing and dealing with and slightly improving the stress and turmoil and anxiety and conflict. The point is that such a human being is ready to leave behind all things that are aimed at managing and dealing with and slightly improving stress and turmoil and anxiety and conflict. Why would any human being want to manage cancer? Why? The only reason that he wouldn't look for a cure is if the doctors and society told him that a cure was impossible. And quite frankly, even then there would be that one serious human being who would say, "To hell with all of you. I will comb the edges of the earth. I will travel to holistic healers and shamans. I will do anything I have to do to find a cure for my cancer." That is the sort of human being to whom my work is devoted, and to whom this treatise is devoted. Some who read this may think he's telling me to go on a journey because he wants to sell me something. That's why he won't just come right out and tell me what this journey is. I understand how the mind works. And for the person whose mind has sent him this thought, I will be happy to respond. Whenever we read anything these days, we have so many questions and suspicions that arise. And these questions and suspicions are never answered. Articles and books and podium talks are given in a vacuum. Authors and speakers spend their time on the nuts and the bolts of the matter at hand. But the real and delicate conversations are the ones that the mind is having with the reader. The mind raises suspicion that the speaker or the author is trying to sell him something. And quite frankly, this is true. We live in a world of ceaseless, nonsensical marketing aimed at making quick buck. Your mind may or may not be raising such suspicions to you. But in case it is, I will not cop out. I will not grant myself the convenience of avoiding them. As I always have done, I will speak the truth. First, I will tell you my limitations in revealing everything to you. And then I will reveal to you the truths that may genuinely be game changers for you. As much as any man can without having spoken to you personally. I do not know the journey until I speak to someone. A man once asked the Buddha, "Sir, is there a God?" The Buddha replied, "No." Another man asked the Buddha, "Sir, is there a God?" The Buddha replied, "Yes." One of the Buddha's disciples witnessed this. He approached the Buddha and said to him, "Venerable sir, why did you tell one man that there is God and another man that there is not?" The Buddha said, paraphrase, "I gave each man the knowledge that was best suited for his journey." Believe me, I would have no problem outlining exactly what the journey would look like for you. But it is literally impossible for me to do so for several reasons. One reason is that I do not know where precisely you sit. Do you remember in the days before GPS, you would call the store and ask for directions? And the very first thing that the person on the other line would ask you is, "Where are you coming from?" The storekeeper could not possibly give the same directions to everyone, for each person would be coming from different side of town. Wherever we go, we can only go from where we currently are. And unless I know where you currently are, how can I possibly give directions and risk steering you the wrong way? Another reason that I cannot tell you your journey without speaking to you is this. For me, every human being is their own unique universe. I have never bought a briefcase to any meeting with one of my clients. I never brought a PowerPoint presentation or a 5-point plan or a predetermined agenda, or believe it or not, any idea whatsoever of what I am going to say. If I give a talk, I do not prepare a speech. Then what do I do? What I am about to tell you is something that may tremendously benefit you in your life. Before I give a talk, or before I speak with a client on the phone or in person, whether it is the first time we are speaking or the 20th time we are speaking, I have trained myself to rid myself of all involuntary thoughts so that I can remove all interference and become 100% available. It is very much a Jedi skill that has taken time to develop. But in becoming 100% available, something quite miraculous happens. You begin to see into the human being. You acquire the ability to predict what he is going to say. And the path to transforming him or her organically begins to materialize. In essence, you stop listening with your ears and you begin to listen with your entire body. I won't go further into it. I have perhaps already ventured into the otherworldliness that I promised to avoid earlier. There is so much that I cannot tell you in the first encounter, for you would not believe me. You would not believe that such a thing are indeed possible. These are some of the reasons why I am unable to outline what your journey will look like. Can I give you some truths that will help you if you are serious? Can I give you some truths that will help you if you are truly serious? Yes. And I will share those with you shortly. But I am incredibly hesitant to do so. Why? Because you see, human beings are built in a peculiar way. If you just give them something, they won't value it. Why? It is simply the way we are wired. We live in a world of constant information. We are bombarded by useless list posts and 10 ways to be happy and the next best thing. Have such things transformed us? In a way, they have, and unfortunately so. They have not transformed us in a way the article or headline promises. No, sir, not in that way at all. They have transformed us into endlessly suspicious creatures who always look at every human being askew, wondering what their angle is and what they want from us. Make no mistake, noise poisons human beings. And all of the noise has transformed us into hesitant, weary, and suspicious creatures. And this is the natural way in which we have conformed to our environment. Similar to the way in which Brooks, a character in the Shawshank Redemption, had become so institutionalized after 50 years of imprisonment that he favored incarceration over freedom. So much so, in fact, that days after being released, he hanged himself. It is this that makes me hesitant to reveal to you some of these truths. What I mean is that the words will be read too easily. Even that is very difficult thing to explain. But I will do my best. Your brain will read the words and it will know the meaning of each word according to its dictionary definition. But when the words are arranged as they are, they will be read too easily. There will be an insulin spike of sorts. It may require not only a double take, but a 500 take to see what is being said. These are not ordinary ideas, you see. In many ways, they are not even meant to be read or ingested. When you ingest something, it bypasses the brain. And in bypassing the brain, a human being is freed from the endless intellectualizing that the brain produces. If I were to inject you with a life-saving antibiotic, I wouldn't present it to your brain because I wouldn't want to burden you with having to think about it. I would simply inject it into your vein. But I wrote this treatise to humanity, and I will not turn back now. I simply caution you to understand this. The words that I am about to present to you are pregnant with the sort of significance that have the power to transform a human life. And they will begin to do their magic inside the one who is ready to receive them. The truth about eradicating stress. Remember, the truth always begins with subtraction rather than addition. Subtraction is imperative because unless one clears the way for the truth, there will be no space for it to stand. If you truly wish to eradicate stress from your life, you must understand something. It is somewhat like having gangrene. You can cut out the gangrene, but a part of you is going to go with it. You see, human beings say that they would like to be free of their dramas, but they will fight you to death if you try to take it away from them. For who would they be without them? Meditation is a band-aid. You can do it if you like. Remember, this treatise discusses the road to eradication of stress, not just temporarily making you feel better. Meditation is not as sacred as you think. It is a temporary reprieve, if anything. It cures nothing. It is simply another important prescription. And prescriptions do not work. You do not yet know the meaning of the last sentence. That statement is like an island on the surface of the water. You haven't seen the mountain that supports it. I will say it again in order to emphasize its critical importance. Prescriptions do not work. And I do not just mean medication prescriptions. Any prescription, be it an activity or a doing of some sort, because it is devoid of authenticity. It comes from the lips rather than from the bloodstream. One last time. Prescriptions do not work. And what will you find in the world? Nothing but prescriptions, unfortunately. The only thing that medications will give you is side effects. So they are out as well. Stress management seminars are just that, management. This is like swirling muddy water. For the briefest of the moments, a portion of the water will be clear, but the very next moment, the muddy water settles again. Mindfulness is an institutional fad. It is brightly colored, cherry picked from an eastern tree and replanted in the west. Try it for yourself if you like. How long will you hold the mind at bay? How long will you force your awareness on each and everything that you are doing? Mindfulness is like holding up the walls of condemned house. Soon your arms will tire and the mind and the house will come crashing down upon you. The Buddha wasn't mindful. In actuality, he became mindless. But once again, this is broaching dangerously deep and forbidden territory. And I promised I wouldn't go there, even though it is the absolute truth. Ultimate subtraction is to subtract everything. Yes, everything. Do I mean that nothing at all works? Nothing that the world tries to sell you works. This is correct. None of it. You don't have to believe me. Just look in the mirror. Has it worked? Look at your neighbor. Has it worked? Look at the millions who continue to attend stress management workshops. Has it worked? And please tell me what works. I will tell you what works. If you go to the emergency room with internal bleeding, they don't simply open you up and fill you with 30 packs of gauze and send you home, do they? Yet this is exactly the approach to just about everything in modern society, especially when it comes to self-development and mental health. What they do in the emergency room is an attempt to discover the source of the bleed. This is precisely where cures in anything begin. They begin in finding the source of the bleed. What is the source of stress? Psychotherapists and mental practitioners will say that stressors are the source of the bleed. Stressors meaning a stressful event. And they will give you a way to deal with or handle the stressors, to behave differently, to speak differently, to look at the other person's perspective, and so on. But we are here to discuss the truth, correct? Well, the truth is that the stressor is not the source of the bleed. It simply sets the stage for the bleed to take place. The bleed was bound to happen at one point or another. Then what is the source of the bleed when it comes to stress? One of the central sources of the bleed when it comes to stress is the fact that human being isn't yet ready to eradicate stress from his or her life. This is one of those statements that I discussed earlier. Those words came out too easily, and you read them too easily, and your mind judged them way too easily. This is an enormously difficult thing to explain because it is so subtle. You almost have to be half of a Zen master to even realize it. My goodness, where shall I begin? Okay, let us take a man named John as an example. Does John wish to be free of the stress and turmoil and anxiety and the like? Yes, he does. John would love to be free of such turmoil. Most do. But he isn't necessarily dying to be free of it. He may lay awake at night stressed, but he doesn't necessarily lay awake at night absolutely craving to never have stress again. He doesn't fantasize about categorically eliminating all such turmoil from his life. If he does, this puts him in a very select group of individuals on the planet. Individuals who deeply crave something so wildly that it is their front and center in their every waking moment. Is this not like everything else? If you are reading this treatise, you are almost certainly a highly successful individual. Did your success come from pursuing it part time, with half effort? Did it not fill your every waking moment? Did it not visit you in your dreams? Couldn't you taste it, even smell it? Come hell or high water, this is what you are going to do? My friend, water boils at 100 degree, but at 99 it only simmers. Why is it that people are led to believe that a career takes every ounce of their blood, but finding freedom or peace is something they can outsource to a week-long seminar? Now I come to an even more subtle and complex point. My goodness, this is going to be difficult. But once again, I will give my best. The world has told you that you must work at bettering yourself. It has told you that you must work on yourself. In fact, you might have deduced from the previous paragraphs that this is also what I was recommending when I said that you must put your life into it the way you put your life into your career. Well, not quite. Very soon you will come to see that nothing is really sacred when it comes to the information that society has filled you with for your entire life. You might say, well, if I don't work on myself, what is the alternative? It certainly isn't going to happen by me doing nothing at all. I see your point. But the answer is yes and no. You see, when you work on yourself, the way in which the therapist and society tell you to, you will largely be spinning your wheels, because the work that you will be doing will be largely in the form of cosmetics such as behavior modification. Work on yourself is psychology's way of telling you to adhere to a certain norm. It is telling you that you are faulty and you need to be fixed. Essentially, it is telling you that you need to be more correct in the way that you think and act. Because if you do it correctly, you will begin to feel better. But you see, this leads us right back to managing and dealing with cancer. A cure, a complete eradication is what this treatise is aimed at. Nothing palliative treatment, not management. What is imperative to understand is that this is not a fault that needs fixing. Why? Because of a very important secret truth. That which you attempt to fix gets worse. We are not talking about a leaky faucet or a faulty carburetor. We are talking about the subtle and delicate interiority of a human mind. In order for you to transform anything, you must first understand how it is designed. When you attempt to fix something related to the mind, it only gets worse. Why does it get worse? Because your attention moves from the problem to the fix. And soon the fix becomes the new problem. While at first you are attempting to fix the problem, soon you will attempting to fix the fix. And when the fix doesn't work, it never does, you will begin to wonder if you did the fix correctly. Maybe you need to fix the way you do the fix. And in this way, the fix becomes the new problem. Now you are going to ask, well, if I have the problem and it doesn't respond to a fix, then what do I do? What you must do is first drop all doings and fixes and come to realization. That realization is this: your stress and turmoil are serving a purpose for you. As strange as it may sound to you, there is something that you are gaining from it. Whether it may be the excuse to complain, or a way to continue your victimhood of life, or something else? You must realize how attractive it is to live as one who is wounded and stricken. Doesn't seem so on the surface, but if you look deeply, you will find that turmoil is serving a need. It has become a part of your identity, and you are confused by what your life would be like without it. What then is the ultimate truth? The ultimate truth is to fall in love with what? To fall in love with the idea of living a life free of stress and turmoil. What would that life look like? What would it feel like? Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that I'm telling you to visualize it in order to make it a reality. No, sir. I am most certainly not. Because that is also a prescription. The reason that I'm asking you to see with your mind's eye what it would look like and what it would feel like is so that a journey can be created towards the exact vision that you wish to procure. Understand this. The question is not how do I get to that vision. The question is what are the things that are standing in the way. Once we know the exact vision, we can begin to painstakingly isolate the things that are in the way. And we can remove these rocks one by one and allow the river to flow. I simply cannot reveal to you more honest and sincere truth than to say nothing is possible until you are ready. Are you truly ready to leave stress behind? Are you truly ready to leave stress behind forever? The question is not as easy or as innocent as you think. It simply isn't. Are you ready to leave behind the wholly familiar life of turmoil, even though all that you are and all that you know is intricately intertwined with it? What will this new life look like? It is unfamiliar territory. You see, this is why many are content with managing and dealing with, because that way they don't have to compromise what has come to be their identity. They are not looking for a whole new life. They are simply looking for a slightly improved version of the current one. I will not try to sell you on the idea of finding freedom or discovering a life of peace and equanimity. Such an idea will attract those who are ready, and it will seem frightening or fantastical to those who are not. But it is available here and now. Human transformation is your birthright. When a human being becomes ready, even seemingly impossible becomes possible.